Hello and welcome to Tax Matters. I am Chiamaka Ohauchi. You will recall that in the last two episodes, we have had to tell you the story of the 147th meeting of the Joint Tax Board, which was held in Kaduna at the end of March. And that has meant that the insight into the inner workings of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, which we began earlier, had to be put on hold. Of course, you know what we are talking about. How FIRS works through the prisms of the coordinating directors, the 6 disciples of Muhammad Nami. We want to return to that today, and as we promised the last time, today's episode will be a combo, part 2 or second installment if you like, of our interviews with Mr. Femi Oluwaniyi, Coordinating Director, Tax Operations Group, and Mr. Dick Iri, Coordinating Director, Compliance Support Group. So here we go. The Federal Inland Revenue Service is always pushing itself hard to meet targets set for it by government and higher targets set for it by itself. We begin on a target setting note. What are the collection targets for the FIRS for year 2021 and indeed 2022 and 2023? We still have with us Mr. Oluwaniyi, the Coordinating Director, Tax Operations Group at the FIRS. So now we would like to get your collection targets for value-added tax, for stamp duties and other tax types in the short term and in the long term.
Okay, thank you very much. We have for this year, VAT is altogether 1.8 trillion naira. In terms of stamp duty, we have it as 12. We were given 17 last year, but interestingly, we collected 120. That's about almost 7 times of the given target last year. But the reason behind that is that government has separated the electronic money aspect of it, which was actually our strength, which delivered most of this 120 we are talking about. Government has separated it into what is called EMTL. It's no more stamp duties. So the stamp duty is 12, but the electronic money transfer levy is 500 billion naira. Petroleum profits tax, which is one of the big ones, for this year is 1.6 trillion naira. 1.6 trillion. Companies income tax is about 1.47 trillion naira. The gas income is 511 billion. Capital gains tax is 7 billion. Education tax 323 billion. In terms of the personal income taxes, you know, we still collect some elements of foreign residents, armed forces, and all of that. We have 74 billion naira to collect. We have this NITD levy, that is information levy, is 18 billion precisely, and everything totals 5.9 trillion. That's the target that government has given us for the year 2021, 5.9 trillion naira. Total for next year, that's 2022, like I said, is about 1 trillion on top of what we are started with this year, precisely 6.99 trillion. You know, I said this year is 5.9. Next year is 6.99, and the following year, 2023, is 7.6 trillion naira.
So how do you plan to achieve these targets?
We have gone a long way. That's why we pressed so much for the passage, for the introduction of technology and automation opportunities in the Finance Act 2020. Some sectors have already been brought on board. That's the retail sector and supermarkets. You know, they are rapidly being brought into the technology we have provided, and we are seeing the differences in the telecommunications space, particularly in the pay TV, all the multi-choices of this world. They have already hooked on to the technology we have provided, and it's showing some significant differences in the level at that manual time, what they used to pay. We are almost done with the shipping side of the economy. We have the financial sector brought on board, especially for VAT, withholding tax, and particularly for the EMTL, the electronic money transfer levy. So, but we are hoping that very soon the whole of the Nigerian economy will be brought on board. As a matter of fact, there is something called fiscalization in some of these other countries, even our peers, whereby every business will be hooked onto technology and will be the better for it. Audit and investigation, they are being revamped, and I'm sure they will do better than they have ever done before. Then we're also looking at the digital space, this digital economy, the way we can harness it to the best of our opportunities. I want to also mention that one thing that keeps us going now is the vision of the executive chairman that we have on board now. As a matter of fact, in terms of the motivation that he has instilled or elicited from the staff, it has been massive. Staff are ready to go even at the risk of their lives now. This COVID, they don't mind. They are just working up their socks, doing their best. Why? Because of the motivation that the new leader has brought along with him. There was a time shortly before he came that most of our works were outsourced. Auditors would not work, the investigators within the system could not do anything, but immediately he came in, he stopped that former process of consultants and gave it back. He's still confidence in the staff, and everybody is just rearing to go. Another strength which we have is the relationship that he has been able to bring up with our stakeholders. When I mean our stakeholders, I mean other agencies of government that are critical to our successes, the way we relate, we carry them along. They are also willing to assist us so much. I can recall that last year, some big areas were ripped from one or two companies that hold us so much and would not have paid anything, but we were able to get a lot achieved in that regard. So these are strengths which we hope to continue to latch on to towards delivering on our mandate.
Do you foresee any challenges ahead?
One key challenge that's to be expected is the average culture of taxpaying in Nigeria. Maybe it's worldwide that nobody really enjoys paying taxes, but in Nigeria it goes beyond the ordinary, and we have to do a lot of things to break people down to see that they meet their obligations in the minimum. That culture has not significantly changed. Another challenge that we have is, before I even talk of another challenge, oftentimes you hear people tell you, what has government done with the ones who have been paying? That's a serious recurring decimal in Nigeria, as if we the taxmen are the ones that are also supposed to use the money for them, but that's a challenge. And then this other big one is the what I would call volatility of the economy, especially these days. Nobody, for example, foresaw that COVID will come in 2020, and it crashed a lot of things. The oil sector is still not recovered from it, and we are trying to get out of it, and SARS came again. So there are a lot of things happening in the economic environment that are beyond our control that we cannot predict. That's a big challenge. And maybe lastly, we have talked of technology, which should be our strength, and we are happy about it. But a challenge is how ready are we, especially in Nigeria, how available are people in terms of the necessary infrastructure that they need to personally put in place to hook on, and then the issue of network. You say network. It's a song that is pervasive in Nigeria. So if these are taken off our way, I believe that our work will flow better. Thank you.
Okay, so now talking about challenges, we recall that at a recent forum, you spoke about the resistance of some taxpayers to the attempt of the service, the use of technology to drive tax administration. For example, in automating the mop-up of VAT collection. Would you like to share that experience with our viewers?
Thank you very much. The experience we have always had over the years, which led to a drive that resulted in this Finance Act amendments now, making it compulsory for people to come on board. It was that of what I would call resistance. Even where we have done a lot, we have committed resources to automate particular sectors. What you keep hearing is that the law does not make it compulsory for me to come on board. And issues like, well, even if you are able to get visibility to my system, I mean, the law allows me to keep my the VAT, the withholding tax, to the 21st day of the following month. So what are we talking about? Even if you say you can't capture it now, otherwise you are taking away from me what the law has given me. These were valid issues that really bothered us, and it will only take the willing to come on board. Though I can safely say that we have reached the supermarkets now. ShopRite, for example, is hooked onto us. They are automated and technologically available. They are visible to our systems, and other major supermarkets were extending the drive towards them. The states, there is something we deployed that is called states. It's like was supposed to be the state counterpart of what is GIFMIS at the federal level. That's State Integrated Financial Management and Information System. At our own cost, we wanted states to hook on so that their deduction of VAT and withholding tax will be visible to us and we can capture our money. But I can assure you, most states resisted it, and they didn't allow that project to sail through. But I think with what we have now, it should be easier for us to achieve that drive. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Oluwani. You really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, too.
Thank you for staying with us. We did say at the beginning that this was a combo, a two-in-one. Remember, it is a series in which coordinating directors at the FIRS are brought on set to unravel FIRS for you and for us. We'll move on to Mr. Dick Iri, Coordinating Director, Compliance Support Group. The first installment of our interview with him has also been shared with you. In the first installment, Mr. Iri spoke about the composition of his group and what the different departments do, especially with regard to guidance of taxpayers on their rights, their duties, and their obligations. Now we want to know, what have you found to be the enablers of tax compliance, and on the flip side, the discouraging factors?
The enabler, let me put it this way, people are willing, a lot of people are willing to perform their civic responsibility. As they see the tax money being put into use, they are happy. When I talk, I'm talking both national and subnational government. Look at the rail system that is up and running now, and we are still progressing anyway. But people have entered recently. Some people came to Abuja and they say there's a rail running from Warri to Itakwe. It made their journey smooth and they're happy. People move from Abuja to Kaduna through rail, and they are happy. So as they see government deploying the tax money into use, it helps them to have comfort that yes, there's progress and they have hope. That's one enabler. Another enabler is we have a tax education, which we educate people, tell you what to do, at least to help you to bring up to speed as to what you're expected to do and what you are to benefit when you pay your taxes and the rest. That's another enabler. The technology has also helped a lot. No, there's no hiding place again. So these are things that enable people to also meet up. When they know that you can easily fish out all your transactions and expose it to it, that look at you were saying this, look at what we found about you. So that makes them to now comply. The other side of it, the discouraging factor. Yes, people expectations are high. You know, they look forward to more of government, dividend of democracy, so to say. But you know, these things are gradual. So some of them put those excuses forward because they say they are like their own government. And also you see some of them, they also have a challenge in terms of the economic, global economic, it's not met down now, but caused by this pandemic and the rest. It's also impacting negatively on their operations. So these are some of the things that actually discourage some of them from meeting up their responsibility.
Now, talking about these discouraging factors, now how do you manage these discouraging factors to ensure that those who do not pay or who do not want to pay taxes pay their taxes, the adequate amount of taxes?
Let me start by explaining some of the things that the service embarked upon under the leadership of the executive chairman, Muhammad Nami. Last year, when we realized this COVID-19 pandemic challenge, a lot of palliative were put in place. One, they gave extension as to when to file their taxes. Another one, they gave extension as to when to pay. VAT payment was moved from 21st to maybe the end of the month. Then they were also palliative as to instrumental payments. You know, then the final one was that even interest and penalty were also waived for some of them to encourage them to pay the principal. So these palliative were there, and these are some of these measures that were put in place. And apart from that, we have also gone far with the Tax Pro project, talking about automation. Now you can file your tax return at the comfort of your home or your office. You can make your payment from any location that you are. You don't necessarily have to go to bank. You know, these are some of the processes that were put in place to enable people to make tax payment and tax compliance a bit easy for everybody.
Now, leveraging on your last statement when you spoke about technology,
Yeah.
now we know that two things stood out from the beginning of 2021 as driving the process of the FIRS. One is the renewed emphasis on technology and automation, which you've mentioned, and also the emphasis on direct taxes over and above direct taxes. How is your group supporting these initiatives?
We have so many ways to support this initiative. And let me take us back to the National Tax Dialogue that took place early this year. Here, the president graciously and magnanimously, openly gave FRS the automatic or what I would say approval or support that they can log into any silo, either to silo database and scoop data. So to us, that is a good one for us. These data are to be mined and analyzed and put into use. So that way, audit can get better than what we are doing, getting from what we are getting can get better. Then we also have the automation of the call center, for example. That way, taxpayer can call in anytime, any day, irrespective of the time of the day, be it midnight, and they'll be answered. You understand? So this is a good way to support these projects that we are facing now. Then government is trying to move from direct tax to consumption tax. You see, the Finance Act, which tax policy department was the main driver in that 2019 or 2020, have brought in some relief or some focus shifting from direct to indirect. You will recall that the small taxpayers, those earning turnover below 25 million, were exempted from paying direct tax, and also filing VAT return or paying VAT. I'm making return for VAT. Then the rate has been reduced to 20%. So gradually you see that government is trying to reduce the rate of direct tax and shift to indirect tax by increasing VAT from 5% to 7.5%. And by the time we plug into all this source of direct payment at point of payment, point of remittance, the VAT that are paid by MDAs are remitted direct to the service, it will increase our indirect tax collection and probably a less emphasis on direct tax payment.
Now, sir, we have had a few complaints about how the service immediately jumps into audit when taxpayer asks for a refund. Is it true?
The word jump is what I don't really agree with here because this is actually backed up by law. Maybe with time the law could be modified, but for now as it is, the law specifies that when you make a claim that it should be refunded, they need to confirm that your claim. What we do is just a confirmation of your claim, and we expect that you that want to collect government money, you have also put your tax affairs in good shape, that you will not find on the other side of the law concerning other taxes or your affairs, so that your money will be paid to you.
So that confirmation, does it involve tax audit?
That's the audit. That's what I call audit. Compliance audit, a compliance check. Okay. Yes.
All right. Finally, before we let you go, how do you plan to contribute to the efforts aimed at enhancing collection? I know you spoke about what the service is doing with regards to the indirect tax duty and other tax types.
As a group, we are saddled with over 20% of the service revenue target. That's our own contribution as it is on the surface. But in actual sense, we are doing better than that 20%. You know, the compliance starts from a point of making the taxpayer know what he's supposed to do in the first place. This is where tax education comes and enlightenment comes. So that way, it cannot easily translate to kobo and naira. But over time, this helps compliance. When a taxpayer knows what he's supposed to do, how he's supposed to do it, by way of education, it helps the taxpayer to comply voluntarily. That's one. Two, there are instances where people read the tax law and they don't really understand because they are drafted by experts, legal experts. At times the jargon they put there can make people to be confused. When they seek clarification, these ones are released through information circular to the public, and tax policy does that. We also have automatic exchange of information, domicile in tax policy function, and this one, it helps us to also trace any taxpayer, whether in another country, have the transaction in another country or whatever. We can exchange information with those countries, and it helps in the area of compliance, in boosting the collection that can come from such taxpayer. Then, of course, the tax audit itself, as I said earlier, has been now automated. The process has been automated, and of course, with automation, it reduces human interface and intervention. So everything is done automatically, and that way more revenue can come in. So the 20% that the service even expects us to contribute towards the target, we are likely to surpass it. I'm looking at about 30%, we'll be able to hit about 30%.
That's encouraging and interesting.
Yes.
So we'll say from the contribution from your group and other groups of the service will achieve its target for 2021.
God helping us, we are going to surpass it.
Thank you very much, sir. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Amaka.
FIRS Unsung. We conclude on that optimistic note, and we wish the FIRS the best of luck. Remember, this series is FIRS Unveiled. 3 gone, 3 more to go. The different groups have been holding strategy sessions aimed at achieving the set goals. We have shared stories in that regard with you, and more are coming. Watch out for these stories and the interviews with the remaining coordinating directors. The only way for you not to miss out is to stay tuned to Tax Matters. Same station, same day of the week, same time of the day. Have a beautiful week ahead.